Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritcham Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayat Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhāgavata-sevayā Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devakinandanaaya Jananda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 23, continuing from verse number 34. Yada samsara rishabham rishinaam daitam patim tatra chaste sahasribhir yatraste sa prajapatihi. When she thought of her great husband, the best of the sages, Kardama Muni, who was very dear to her, she, along with all the maidservants, at once appeared where he was. Bharto purastad atmanam Sri Sahasra Vritam tada Nishamya tad yoga gatim samsayam pratyapadyata. She was amazed to find herself surrounded by 1,000 maids in the presence of her husband and to witness his yogic power. Satam kritam ala snanam vibrajatim apurvavat Atmano Vibratim Rupam Sambita Ruchirastan Neem Vidyadhare Sasrena Sevyamanam Suvasasam Jata Bhavo Vimanam Tad Arohayad Amitrahan. The sage could see that Devahūti had washed herself clean and was shining forth as though no longer his former wife. She had regained her own original beauty as the daughter of a prince. Dressed in excellent robes, her charming breast duly girded, and she was waited upon by 1,000 Gandharva girls. O destroyer of the enemies, his fondness for her grew, and he placed her on the aerial mansion. Tasmin alupta mahima priyayanurukto vidyadhara dharibhir upachirna vapurvimane Bahraja Yuktaksham Kumudganavan Apikshas Tarabhiravrita Ipodu Patirnabhastaham. Though seemingly attached to his beloved consort, while served by the Gandharva girls, the sage did not lose his glory, which was mastery over himself. In the aerial mansion, Kardama Muni with his consort shone as charmingly as the moon in the midst of the stars in the sky, which causes rows of lilies to open in the ponds at night. Tenashta lokapa vihara kulachalendra dronishva angnanga sakha maruta saubhagasu siddhairnuto yuduni pata shivasvanasu preme chiram dhanadaval lalana varuti. In that aerial mansion, he traveled to the pleasure valleys of Mount Meru, which were rendered all the most beautiful by cool, gentle, fragrant breezes that stimulated passion. In these valleys, the treasurer of the gods, Kubera, surrounded by beautiful women and praised by the Siddhas, generally enjoys pleasure. Kardama Muni, also surrounded by the beautiful damsels and his wife, went there and enjoyed for many, many years. Vaishrambake Surasane नंदने पुष्पभद्रके मानसे चैत्ररथ्ये च सरे मे रामया रतः. Satisfied by his wife, he enjoyed in that aerial mansion not only on Mount Meru but in different gardens known as Vaishrambaka, Surasana, Nandana, Pushpa and Chaitrarathya, and by the Manasa Sarovara lake. Brajishnuna vimanena kamagena mahiyasa vaimanikan atyaseta charallokan yatha nilaha. He traveled in that way through the various planets as the air passes uncontrolled in every direction, coursing through the air in that great and splendid aerial mansion which could fly at his will. He surpassed even the demigods. Kim दुरापादनं तेषां पुंसाम् उद्धाम चेतसाम् यैराश्रितस्तीर्थपदश्चरणो व्यसनात्ययः. What is difficulty to achieve for determined men who have taken refuge of the Supreme Personality of God at lotus feet? His feet are the source of sacred rivers like the Ganges, which put an end to the dangers of mundane life. प्रेक्षयित्वा भुवो गोलं पत्न्यै यावान् स्वसंस्थया बहव आश्चर्यमहायोगी स्वाश्रमाय न्यवर्तत. After showing his wife the globe of universe and its different arrangements full of many wonders, the great yogi Kardama Muni returned to his own hermitage. Vibrajya Navadaatmanam Manavim Suratotsukam Ramam Niramayan Reme Varshapagan Muhurtavat. After coming back to his hermitage, he divided himself into 9 personalities just to give pleasure to Devahūti, the daughter of Manu, who was eager for sex life. In that way, he enjoyed with her for many, many years, which passed just like a moment. तस्मिन् विमान उत्कृष्टां सय्यां रतिकरीं श्रिता न चाबुध्यत तं कालं पत्यापीच्येन सङ्गता. In that aerial mansion, Devahuti, in the company of her handsome husband, situated on an excellent bed that increased sexual desires, could not realize how much time was passing. एवं योगानुभावेन दम्पत्यो रममाणयोः ततं व्यतीयुः शरदः कामलालसयोर्मनाक्. While the couple, who eagerly longed for sexual pleasure, were thus enjoying themselves by virtue of mystic powers, 100 autumns passed like a brief span of time. Tasyam adaptaretastam bhavayan atmanatma vid noda vidhaya rupam swam sarva sankalpa vid vibhuhu. The powerful Kardama Muni was the knower of everyone's heart, and he could grant whatever one desired. Knowing the spiritual soul, he her he regarded her as half of his body. Dividing himself into 9 forms, he impregnated Devahuti with 9 discharges of semen. अतः सा सुषुवे सद्यो देवहूतिः स्त्रियः प्रजाः सर्वास्ताश्चारु सर्वाङ्ग्यो लोहितोत्पलगन्धयः. Immediately afterward, on the same day, Devahuti gave birth to 9 female children, all charming in every limb and fragrant with the scent of red lotus flower. पतिं सा प्रव्रजिष्यन्तं तदा लक्ष्यो सती बहिः स्मयमाना विक्लवेन हृदयेन विदूयता. When she saw her husband about to leave home, she smiled externally, but at heart she was agitated and distressed. लिखन्ति अधोमुखी भूमिं पदानकमणिश्रियाम् उवाच ललितां वाचं निरुध्याश्रुकलां शनैः. She stood and scratched the ground with her foot, which was radiant with luster of her gem-like nails. Her head bent down. She spoke in slow yet charming accents, suppressing her tears. देवहूतिरुवाच सर्वं तद्भगवान् मह्यम् उपोवाह प्रतिश्रुतम् अथापि मे प्रपन्नाय अभयं दातुम् अर्हसि. She, Devahuti said, My lord, you have fulfilled all the promises you gave me, yet because I am your surrendered soul, you should give me fearlessness too. Fearlessness too. ब्रह्मन् दुहितृभिस्तुभ्यं विमृग्याः पतयः समाः कश्चिन्स्यान्मे विशोकाय त्वयि प्रव्रजिते वनम्. My dear Brahmana, as far as your daughters are concerned, they will find their own suitable husbands and go away to their respective homes. But who will give me solace after your departure as a sannyasi? एतावतालं कालेन व्यतिक्रान्तेन मे प्रभो इन्द्रियार्थप्रसङ्गेन प्रतियक्त sorry, परित्यक्त परात्मनः Until now, we have simply wasted so much of our time in sense gratification, neglecting to cultivate knowledge of the Supreme Lord. इन्द्रियार्थेषु सज्जन्त्या प्रसङ्गस्त्वयि मे कृतः अजानन्त्या परं भावं तपापि अस्त्व अभयाय मे. Now knowing your transcendental situation, I have loved you while remaining attached to the objects of senses. Nonetheless, let the affinity I have developed for you rid me of all fear. Sango yaha samsrer असत्सु विहितो धियां स एव साधुषु कृतो निसंगत्वाय kalpate. Association for sense gratification is certainly the path of bondage, but the same type of association performed with a saintly person leads to the path of liberation, even if performed without knowledge. नेह यत्कर्म धर्माय न विरागाय कल्पते न तीर्थपद सेवायै जीवयन् अपि मृतो हि सः. Anyone whose work is not meant to elevate him to religious life, anyone whose religious ritualistic performances do not raise him to renunciation, and anyone situated in renunciation that does not lead him to devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead must be considered dead, although he is breathing. साहं भगवतो नूनं वञ्चिता मायया दृढं यत्त्वां विमुक्तिदं पाप्य न मुमुक्ष्येय बन्धनात्. My Lord, surely I have been solidly cheated by the insurmountable illusory energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For in spite of having obtained your association, which gives liberation from material bondage, I did not seek such liberation. Hare Krishna. Thus ends the chapter 23 from the Canto 3 entitled Devahūti's Lamentation. Do let me know if you see me.
Yes, Prabhuji, we can see you.
Yeah.
Okay, and audio wise also it's clear, Mataji? I mean, I didn't want to interrupt, that's why I just went with the flow.
Yes.
All fine. Okay. So let's continue from where we left yesterday. There was very nice point that, in fact, uh, a very qualified husband, as a very qualified husband, Kardama Muni took complete responsibility. In fact, it was the desire of Brahma for him to get married so that he can expand progenation through marriage. And also, this is what the desire was from Swayambhuva Manu for giving his daughter. In fact, we can also understand from previous parts that Devahūti has very sincerely, very lovingly, very responsibly has pleased Kardamamuni to that extent that Kardamamuni was completely touched and he said, whatever I have attained by many, many years of austerities, let that all result be given to you. And with a great freedom, Devahuti has reminded Kardamamuni of her desire. And of course, not only her desire, reminding the purpose of purpose of union, of purpose of marriage is to beget children. So, understanding this, Kardamamuni arranged all the facilities with the dint of his mystic power that shows how powerful the yogis of those times were, that he could manifest a big a mansion inside the lake where she went to take bath, and after coming out, she along with the maids, she was very much ready. It appears from this verse in the beginning, Devotee thought herself to be dirty and dressed in a very niggardly way. When her husband asked her to enter the lake, she saw the maidservants and they took care of her. Uh, there are some of the powers attained by perfect yogis, they can immediately execute anything they desire. So this is what Kardama Muni had that power. And we can see that Devahuti saw everything miraculously done. Yet when brought before her husband, she could understand that it was all due to his great yogic mystic power. She understood that nothing was impossible for a yogi like Kardama Muni. This also shows that nothing happens just by magic. Yeah, definitely there is arrangement, and here she could very well understand it was because of her husband. So And it went further, all the arrangements were there, and then we will go to the point. Kardamuni also surrendered by the beautiful damsels, and his wife went there and enjoyed for many years. This is a point. If we take the point from 39, we can see all these demigods take pleasure in the valleys of Mount Meru, which is situated somewhere between sun and earth. In the aerial mansion, Kardamamuni traveled throughout the eight directions, controlled by different demigods described above. And as the demigods go to the Mount Meru, he also went there in to enjoy life. It is something like these days we are considering like, oh, honeymoon, one should go to Europe or one should go to Switzerland or mini Switzerland and all these things. For them, this is nothing. So Kardamuni was sexually stimulated and he enjoyed his wife for many, many years in that part of Mount Meru. But because his sexual intelligence was praised by many, many siddhas, being who have attained perfection because it was intended to produce good progeny for good of the universal affairs. That's how it is justified. And he traveled in that way through various planets. And Prabhupada writes in the purport 41 that he says the living entities who are within the universe are called conditioned souls. That is, they are not free to move everywhere. We are inhabitants of this earthly globe. We cannot move freely to other planets. In the modern age, man is trying to go to other planets, but so far he has been unsuccessful. It is not possible to travel any other planets because by the laws of nature, even the demigods cannot move from one planet to another. Now the question will come, but hey, come on, we have gone to what is the latest Mars and we have gone to Moon. Isn't it that we have attained? But there is Prabhupada highlights that there is a gulf of difference between one just going to the place and actually going to the real abode. It's something like one may say that I have entered um, Switzerland by just crossing the border, but actual Switzerland is not just the border. Or one may think that he has entered a particular place, but the place is actually covered by its own mystic arrangements. So just by going physically doesn't mean that we have entered that place. So, but Kardamamuni by his yogic power could surpass the strength of the demigods and travel in space in all directions. The comparison here is very suitable. The word yatha anila indicate that as the air is free to move everywhere without restriction, Kardamamuni also did that. Hmm? And and very important point here is, or actually there are 2 points. One first point is it is mentioned what is difficult to achieve for determined men who have taken refuge of the lotus feet of the Lord. There are two parts here. One part is determination is the key. One who is not determined cannot advance. But determination to do what? To be in the mode of goodness, passion, or ignorance, that will again be a utter flop. In spite of having such a great quality of determination, if he engages in all these other things, it is only prone to take into the cycle of birth and death again and again. So here it is said, what is the difficulty to achieve for determined men who have taken refuge of the Supreme Lord's lotus feet? His feet are the source of sacred rivers like Ganges, which put an end to the dangers of mundane life. So, if we want relief from the cycle of birth and death, if we really understand what it means, a freedom forever, a freedom from all this suffering, is attainable only with determination and approaching the lotus feet of the Lord. It is said that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is also called Tirthapada. Tirtha, the Ganges is called a sacred river because it emanates from the toe of Vishnu. The Ganges is meant to eradicate all material distress of the conditioned souls. Therefore, nothing is impossible for any living entity who has taken shelter at the lotus feet of Lord. Kardama Muni is special not because he was a great mystic, but because he was a great devotee. Therefore, it is said here that a great devotee like Kardama Muni, for him, nothing is impossible. Kardama Muni was more than a yogi because he was great devotee of the Lord. Therefore, he was more glorious than any ordinary yogi. Yeah, it goes further. 43. After showing his wife the globe, in the purport, Prabhupada is helping so-called modern scientists there says all the planets are here described as gola, round. Every planet is round and each planet is a different shelter, like just like islands in different ocean. Planets are sometimes called Dvipa or Varsha. This Earth planet is called Bharatavarsha because it was ruled by King Bharata. Another significant word used in this verse is Bahava Ashcharyam, many wonderful things. Uh, in fact, there are many. This indicates that the different planets are distributed all over the universe in 8 directions. And each and every, I mean, when we come to the fifth canto, we will come to this part in further detail. So, concluding in that particular verse, Prabhupada writes, all such wonders were personally experienced by Kardamuni while he traveled with his wife. Yet, he could return again to his humble hermitage. He showed his princess wife that although he was living in the hermitage, he had the power to go everywhere and do anything by mystic yoga. So that is why, of course, foolish persons are misled into believing that simply by some caricature of meditation and sitting postures one can become God within 6 months. No, that's not possible. Hmm? And after coming back to the hermitage, uh, he divided himself into 9 personalities. What does that mean? We read from the purport is after traveling with her husband all over the universe, in the Mount Meru, the beautiful gardens, etc., she naturally became sexually stimulated, and in order to satisfy her, Kardama Muni expanded into 9 forms. Instead of one, he became nine, and 9 persons. So here means have it is understood that the sexual appetite of a woman is 9 times greater than of a man, and that is clearly indicated here. Otherwise, Kardama would not have no reason to expand himself. Yeah, again, if we want to read further, one can give the example given is about Saubhari Muni, how it would be. He also expanded himself into 8 forms, Saubhari Muni. But however powerful a yogi may be, he cannot expand himself into many than 8 or 9. Uh, but Lord could expand into millions of forms, Ananta Rupam. And after that, Kartam Muni and Devahūti engaged in sex indulgence, also forgot how time was passing by, and then they they begot 9 daughters on the same day. Since Kardamamuni could understand that Devahūti wanted many children, so at the first chance he begot 9 children at one time. Uh, he is described here as Vibhu, the most powerful master. By his yogic power, he could at once produce 9 daughters in the womb of Devahūti. Hmm? And then Devahūti, uh, afterwards, immediately afterward, on the same day, Devahūti gave birth to 9 female children, and all the daughters were very beautiful, and their bodies were nicely formed. Each resembled a lotus flower and was fragrant like a lotus. And then what happened? Kardama Muni, who is very uh, strict in his saintly nature and following the his duties. So now he wanted to leave. When she saw her husband about to leave, she smiled externally, but at heart she was agitated and distressed. So what does that mean? She doesn't want that her husband may leave, but she also understands that is part of life. Yeah, that one will not stay forever. And in fact, it was Kardamamuni already clarified before marriage that after once he Devahūti begets children, then he would leave and take up to the next ashram. So Kardamamuni finished his household affairs quickly by his mystic power. Seeing her husband about to leave, Devahūti was disturbed. But to satisfy her husband, she was smiling. The example should be understood. Example of Kardama Muni should be understood very clearly. A person whose main concern is Krishna consciousness, even if he is entrapped in household life, should always be ready to leave household enticement as soon as possible. Mhm. So, and then anyway, so Devahuti conveyed what why she is a bit concerned. She said, "My lord, you have fulfilled all the promises you gave me, yet because I am your surrender soul, you should give me fearlessness also. For a wife, husband is her strength, husband is her what do you call what is the opposite of fearfulness? I don't think it's just fearlessness. Abhayam, yeah, to be not worried, yeah. So to be free from anxiety, yeah, that's the word. So, one who cannot. So she is saying that okay, if you go, the problem is that the daughters may finally marry and they also will go. Uh, so Devahūti is saying, you have given me all sorts of material comforts, but by your yoga, since you are now prepared to go away, you must give me your last award so that I may get free from this material conditional life. So this is indirectly hinting that, oh, master, uh, your commitment is not finished yet because yeah, you may give me a son who is as who can give me actually liberation. This is what in protection and liberation. So my dear, so this is what she convinced, and then she finally says, not knowing your transcendental situation, I have loved you while remaining attached to objects of senses. Nonetheless, let the affinity I have developed for you rid me of all fear. Uh, and then finally, she is saying, please, oh, I mean, with great pain, she starts saying, oh, what kind of thing I have done is surely I have been solidly cheated. Why she is feeling, Devotee is feeling like that is, she had such a great husband in spite of such a great husband who can help her in the process of liberation so that she can get liberated, she is tied up in this household where she has begot 9 daughters, and she also is now asking if there can be a son who can give actually protection. So she's saying, hey, if the Lord has come, for example, then I should have asked for freedom of all the suffering. Rather, she's saying, an intelligent man should utilize good opportunities. The first opportunity is the human form of life, and second opportunity is to take birth in a suitable family where there is cultivation of spiritual knowledge. This is rarely obtained. The greatest opportunity is to have association of saintly person. So now Devahuti had all these things. Act, what they are doing when they worship the material is the form of anyway. That is further. Whatever we have, we should use as service to the Supreme Lord. Um, so Devahuti is thinking, in spite of having such a blessed husband, what kind of attachment I have gone through, so that due to which I am just bound, due to which, oh, I think I am. She's just saying, it is not me. I think I am cheated by Maya. I got caught up in this illusion. I got up in that. So how how she's saying, surely I have been solidly cheated by insurmountable illusory energies. Uh, for in spite of having obtained your association, which gives liberation from material bondage, I did not seek such liberation. So this is what she says, and of course we will go further about the renunciation of Kardama Muni. What does he do? How he attains perfection, and then we will go into 325. I mean 324, 25 till 29. All these chapters are wonderful chapters. Gives lot of insights into how to practice bhakti, how to understand spirituality. So yeah, please let's continue. Yeah, this nityaṁ bhāgavata-sevayā as much as possible.
It looks like we lost him.
Yes, Mataji, like he is not online.
Maybe he don't have internet.
Amen.
Okay, he just wrote all battery power is gone. Okay, so maybe battery is not there. Then yes, we can close the call.
Yeah, Mataji, we just want to take this opportunity because all are there, that we want to wish you and Prabhuji a very happy Krishna conscious wedding anniversary today, Mataji. Yeah, I think it's still not a right time for Sudama Prabhu as he's traveling on the way to India to take care of his grandmother. But still, we want to convey our wishes with along with all of us. Yeah, and then everyone can share. So Mataji, we pray to Lord Narsimha that may Lord give you and Prabhuji strength to remove all the obstacles and whatever you and Prabhuji have envisioned the services and the plans. May Lord fulfill and yeah, you both deserve great things in life.
He is there.
Oh, Hare
Yeah,
Hare
actually,
Krishna,
Happy
Prabhuji.
Krishna Consciousness Wedding Anniversary, Sudama Prabhuji and Rupa Mataji. May Lord Narsimdev protect you, your family, and everyone. Thank you so much for having these sessions and everything that helped us so much. And yeah, keep going. We wish you both and your whole family good health and happiness only.
I
Hare
think
Krishna.
YouTube is still going on, right? So I'm trying to first stop that.
okay.
Before, let me stop that. 1 second, please.